Welcome to another edition of Cohasset Common. I'm your host today, Town Manager Chris Sr., and on this week's episode, we'll take a look at inside the artist studio with some local artists. We'll take a quick look at Don Royne's interview with Kristen Norton on Taking Conversation with the Paul Pratt Memorial Library, and we'll spend time with Ashley Colleary of the school committee and Kerry Thompson of the select board to talk about plans for a variety of exciting events in June. This on this week's edition of Cohasset Common. I'm here on the town common today on a beautiful spring day, with looking ahead a little bit to what we hope is a very exciting summer, with Ashley Colleary, the vice chair of the Cohasset School Committee, and Kerry Thompson, the vice chair of the Cohasset Select Board. Welcome both of you to Cohasset Common.
Thank you. It's a beautiful day.
Now, Ashley, I understand that there's a lot of planning going on for, I guess, some of the town's first real cultural inclusion events later this summer.
Yeah, so Carrie and I have been talking about this for a long time.
Yep.
We've noticed that surrounding towns have exciting pride celebrations, and we really love to observe and participate in those, and we thought it would be great if we could bring that same spirit to Cohasset, and this year we're super excited to do that, and we're thankful for your support, Chris, in the planning of these events. And we also thought that the month of June includes some other celebratory opportunities. Loving Day is on June 12th. That's the anniversary of the Supreme Court decision legalizing interracial marriage in the United States.
Yep.
And Juneteenth is a celebration of independence of its own for the African American community on June 19th.
Yes.
So it sounds like June is like a perfect palette, right, for all of these great opportunities.
Yeah.
Right? Is that
Absolutely. And if you think about what a hard year it's been, and looking back on the 250th anniversary of the town and all the celebrations we didn't get to have, I think that looking forward now, we're all starting to get in good moods because it looks like we're going to have vaccines soon, the weather's getting nicer, and looking forward to just the future of this town. I think it's really important to make residents feel included and part of our community. And there's no better way to do that than celebrating things like Pride Month, like Loving Day, like Juneteenth. There's so much going on in June that I think can help bring our community together. We're really excited for future events that we're planning for June.
now? One of the, as you were just mentioning, Kerry, one of the big gaps that the pandemic cost us all here in Cohasset last year was the celebration of the 250.
Yes.
And this is almost kind of picking up from some of that energy and going 250 plus, right?
Yeah.
We're looking now forward into the next years ahead for this community, and again, for the two of you and a whole bunch of others we'll talk about in a minute. The energy being let's widen that net, right?
Yes.
Let's look at not only history retrospectively, inclusively, but going forward.
Right. I actually think there's a lot of symbolism to it, right? Moving forward to 50 plus. Now, I think that this town has an amazing history and a really incredible community, but there's more that we can do to make people feel included and to make this town more inclusive and better representative, I think, of the future of the town.
Now, you mentioned Loving Day, Ashley, and I think a lot of people don't really understand the history of that and what that was about, because interracial marriage is like but people don't think twice about that today. But it wasn't even that long ago when it was literally a crime in the state of Virginia.
Correct, and in many places. So there's a movie actually called Loving that we hope to bring to the community for, plans are sort of in process. But one of the things we really want to do in a really sort of compelling way, and we're hoping that we'll be able to bring that film to Cohasset and create an event around it. Plans are ongoing. We really want to create an inclusive planning committee. So we're hoping that some students will join us, some community members, some members of the faculty from the schools.
Yes. And that's part of our pitch, too, to all of you watching right now. Anyone who wants to be involved in these events, anything related to Pride or Loving or Juneteenth, we really want your help. We want this to be a community celebration for the whole month where everyone's involved. So students, parents, community members, Cohasset voters, all of you are welcome to participate. We're really hoping we can get a lot of you that are interested.
And again, I think that's the whole point of these events, right? It's a community-led effort which you're catalyzing, and again, the town is supportive, and the goal is to have as many people as possible. As you said, you've already had some great, I think, participation with the schools, and again, we're representing the select board, the school committee right here, as well as the town government, and we're excited to get as many people involved as possible, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunities to use your talents for a lot of these things. So creative types, think about ways you can help us be creative to market these events. If you like logistics and event planning, please come help us with that. We'll take any of your talents.
Now, one of the other pieces to this is that we've talked about Loving Day, which I think is the 12th, or right around June 12th.
Yep.
A week later is literally Juneteenth, which is something new it's not new, but it's new on our radar screen, right? So can you, Juneteenth?
This is a holiday that's long been celebrated in a lot of places across the country, but has never really been something that I think a lot of us know about or learn about in our schools. And I know that Massachusetts has recently recognized Juneteenth to bring it on the radar of all of us, and I think it's really important for towns like ours to acknowledge it and to talk about it and to celebrate what it means.
Yep.
And Juneteenth, for those who don't know, is a celebration of when the last slaves in captivity, as far as we are aware, in Texas, were notified. And this was many, many months after the Civil War ended, and the celebrations began then, and they kind of spread, and they've been very very big in some parts of the South and other, and obviously in the African American community. In this last year, it's become a lot more nationwide. And as you said, Massachusetts adopted this as a holiday. So this is really the first year, so there's really an excitement to do it for the very first time.
Yep.
So again, and that's something that plans are coming together, because it's not just a day to barbecue; it's a day to really remember, right? And to celebrate and to see where we've come and where we need to keep going. Now, the other part of the month of June is Pride.
Yes.
Pride Month has been something that's been on the calendar for a long time.
Yep.
It's something that some of our neighbors have done things about, but really not so much Cohasset.
Yeah, and I've been really inspired by watching other towns like Hingham do some really interesting things with Pride Month, and this is something that's absolutely near and dear to a lot of our hearts. We have people in town, we have students in town who identify as LGBTQ, and I think that they don't always feel like they're part of our community, and I'm really excited to think of certain events that we can do surrounding Pride, and in terms of branding, with thinking about some interesting ways that we can bring in rainbow flags and rainbow merchandise to Cohasset that I think people are really excited about. I know we've thought about some flags, we've thought about beach towels, we've thought about some other swag that we have a lot of interest in, so we're hoping that we can get some local business owners involved to sell some merchandise showcasing that our town, really cares about this.
And again, I think that's the point of it, right? Actually, it's to have fun.
Yeah.
Right, and to be inclusive and to learn something, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a sit in your seat history lesson. It's really an opportunity to kind of celebrate the diversity that is America today and that's happening in Cohasset today too.
Yeah, and we have some data from our schools. We do a climate assessment. We've done it twice over the last 4 years that shows us that there are some students in our community that feel a little bit less welcome when they go to school. And I think this is a good first step toward making sure we as a community are coming together to really celebrate difference.
Yes.
And I think that having a Pride celebration here, like I said, the South Shore has a lot of communities that participate in Pride celebrations, and our hope is that we will, as South Shore communities, come together also to collaborate and create regional celebrations and regional opportunities for education and dialogue and community.
And I think too, when people think about the South Shore overall, the South Shore as a whole is not known as being very diverse, right? And we know that. Cohasset is not known as being very diverse at all. But I think we need to recognize that we have members of our community that are people of color and that are identifying as LGBTQ, and they're here and they're part of our community and they're wonderful, and we need to acknowledge that and we need to recognize it and celebrate the difference that this town has that I don't think is often acknowledged. And I think that Ashley brought up a really good point we do have students in our schools that don't necessarily always feel welcome, and I think that's something that we can change in this town. And I'm positively encouraged by the progress I think we can make by acknowledging these holidays and celebrating them.
Well, I think it's a very, again, for those who are interested in taking part, there's opportunities to do that. There's more information that you can see on the screen, places to contact, emails, and you have Ashley Colleary to reach out to. You have Carrie Thompson
Yes.
to reach out to. Reach out to my office if you want to get plugged in. There's a citizens already engaged. I think you already have a pretty active committee,
We
right?
do. Yeah. We're really very fortunate to have a leadership team in our schools that is very invested in this work, and I've been really excited about the conversations that we've had about how we can all work together to celebrate these events in a meaningful way.
And even in terms of diversity, the town is hosting virtually Dr. Temple Grandin, who's
Yes.
a renowned autism speaker because she herself is autistic. And she's written a great book, and there's a great movie, I believe, was starring Claire Danes. I read about this the other day, for people who don't know about her, where her parents were told she should be institutionalized. And she actually has a PhD now and has been an incredible spokesperson for the inclusion of autistic. So, as you point out, Carrie, it's not just, well, diversity is very visual. It's not always visual, right?
Right.
I mean, diversity is in where we come from. It's how we live.
Yep.
It could be in our faith. It could be in how we live our lives. And it's important to recognize that we all bring something different, and that should be a point of celebration, not a point of dissension, which is the point of this whole conversation. So, Ashley Colleary, Carrie Thompson, thank you very much. We're looking forward to having you both on as we get closer to June, and we hope when the common green's up and the trees leaves pop out, we can actually get back together again here in the summer.
It would be great.
Yes, can't wait.
Thank you. Now let's take a look at some excerpts from Cake and Conversation starring Don Roy.
So hi everyone, welcome to another Cake and Conversation. I'm Kristen, one of the librarians here at the Paul Pratt Library. I'm actually in the library right now. And I'm really excited to have my special guest today, Don Roy. How are you?
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Don is a name that I have heard for years and years, bandied about town. You've been in town forever, right? Or it seems like it.
Yeah, it does seem like it sometimes, yeah.
But Don is officially the program director at Cohasset 143 TV. And so if you have kids in the school systems, you'll see him recording games or town meeting or just kind of a little bit of everything. So I thought it would be really fun to have him here. Now, how long have you been involved with the cable?
Oh, boy, it's, right out of school, I went to film and photojournalism school. And as a 21-year-old, I landed a job at the Plymouth Carver Intermediate School as their media technician. As I found out, I became the media manager in the first year. So I was hired in July, and I found a bunch of boxes that were loaded up in the studio and wires everywhere. So I was tasked with building a TV studio and a photo lab and outfitting video and projection for a planetarium in 2 months.
Oh, and how long have you been in Cohasset?
I've been here, this is, we're entering our 10th year.
10, okay.
Yeah, so I started in 2012, and then we were officially operating 3 weeks after my hire. Now, I know it's out of sequence, but you asked me what are the funny things that we...
Yeah, if you have any stories, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Behind the
one of the
scenes.
stories is we went live with a hearing that was, I'm sure everybody remembered it, in late February. The selectmen met with a controversy over the chief of police, and they met right here in the library. Well, we didn't have a live feed to the library. We didn't even have the equipment for it. We had cameras, we didn't have cables. So we went to adjoining towns, to Hull and Hingham, and we borrowed equipment, we borrowed fittings. My wife, we made her one of our technicians, and she ran around 1 minute before we were the meeting started, we went live.
Oh my God.
We were told by the town selectmen, they came right into the studio, said, we have no audio. You know, people saying, so, oh yeah, so we had to turn the audio up.
Oh,
So
wow.
within 3 minutes, we were fully functioning. The funny thing is we recorded in a raw file, not knowing what we were doing. And the 4-hour meeting was 411 gigabytes. So that took up, we only had a 500 gigabyte server.
Holy cow, really?
Now let's take a look inside Cohasset's own artist studios with 3 favorite local artists.
Hi, my name is David Bigley, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Cohasset Open Studios.
This is my studio. Please come in. Hi, my name is Tina Watson. I grew up in Cohasset. I grew up on the Gulf River. And now I live here on South Main Street on a salt marsh. So I'm very attracted to the water and the landscapes. I'm painting in acrylic paintings and encaustic. These paintings are some of my encaustic paintings, which is a hot molten wax that I heat up and paint on a surface, and then I torch it. It's an old art that they used to use to fix boats. So it's very archival, and it's a really fun process.
And here we're going to see the works that Velma does. A lot of beautiful birds and butterflies and other natural elements of nature.
Hi, I'm Velma Begley, and welcome to my gallery. It's a fairly new gallery that my husband put together for me for Cohasset Open Studios back in November. My passion is for nature in my backyard. When I was in the 6th grade at Deer Hill School, I did a science fair project, and it was entitled Nature in My Backyard. One thing when you're painting animals and nature and things like that is every time I paint something, I'm like, well, I think I could do it better. So then I do it again. So I ended up with 12 chipmunk paintings. I always feel so honored and surprised and thrilled when I see something different in nature. One day, a couple of years ago, well, it was probably 5 years ago, I got up and looked out the window and I said, oh, a chipmunk. And then I looked, no, it's 2 chipmunks. No, 5 chipmunks? So 5 chipmunks is pretty unusual to see. And obviously it was a family, a mother with her babies, and she was bringing them up for their first probably lesson in life. On my first foray, said Chipmunk, my mother showed to me, a burrow has many entries. Toby and the Titmouse was inspired by an actual titmouse that used to come down to the deck and pull hair out of Toby's tail to build his nest. I really have a passion for this, and I hope that soon things will be better in the world and people will be able to come and visit the studio in person and see some of my work.
Woman. We'll take a look inside her studio right now. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Dana Thomas. Welcome to my studio. I am outside today. We're going to go bring you upstairs. Upstairs is where the studio is, so when you come to visit, you have to plan to walk up some stairs. You will see where I do painting and I do fused glass up there. So I went to the University of Maine in Orono as a visual arts major, and I went on to Humboldt State University in Northern California
and finished my arts degree there, and found work in Seattle, where my friends told me you can be an artist. And so I worked in a glass studio and a foundry, and so I had my first experience with glass out there. Could make my own. Basically start painting after I've sketched onto a canvas, just usually with a marker. I just put down some lines to outline kind of the image that I want. And then I come over and I get one of these brushes out of the turpentine, and I use kind of throwaway sheets to put oil paint on, and then I start to fill in the canvas with color. So thanks for coming and visiting in my studio today. I really hope that we get a chance to see each other in person. And if you've been here before, I'd love to welcome you back. And if you've never been here before, I'd really like to welcome you in.
For watching today, and I do hope you'll keep an eye out for coming episodes of Cohasset Open Studios. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on this week's edition of Cohasset Common, and thanks to all those who made Cohasset Common possible. For myself, for Casey, and for everyone here at 143 TV, thanks for watching.